Do you know the top 5 traits people who cannot retire have in common? I'm going to talk about those right now. Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Jarrett Lang, Vice President of W.A. Smith Financial. We are a team of advisors who have a common goal to help bring you financial peace of mind. And today, I'm going to talk about 5 common traits that we see for those people who are not yet ready to retire, probably shouldn't retire yet, maybe a few years away. Don't jump the gun. Now, you might not have all 5 of these. You could have 1 or more. The more you have, the more cautious you need to be before you pull the trigger on retirement. Let's jump right in. Number 1 trait, living paycheck to paycheck. So I see this a lot. You're getting close to retirement, you're maybe a year, 2, 3, maybe 5 years away. You come in, you sit down with one of our advisors and you want to retire. But yet when we talk about income versus expenses, you're still living paycheck to paycheck. What you're bringing home net of everything that comes out of your paycheck is about what goes back out the door each week, each month from your bank account. Now, it's not a huge problem. It can be overcome. But if you're still living paycheck to paycheck, you have to be very careful about entering retirement because it's all about income. The foundation of every good retirement plan is having a strong income plan. You have to know if you will have enough income to recreate those paychecks that you had during your working years. Retirement is not about how much money you've saved necessarily. It's about being able to spend confidently, to spend the way you want to spend. You want to be able to live happy. So you have to think about, if I was living happy while I was working or while I'm still working, and I spend $5,000 a month or $6,000 a month, and that's what's coming in the door, that's the same amount that's going out the door, will you be able to recreate that same paycheck, and will you be able to add to that paycheck as time goes by? Think about things like inflation, think about cost of living adjustments, think about unnecessary healthcare expenses and things that pop up out of the blue. So if you're still living paycheck to paycheck, you gotta be careful with going into retirement too soon. Okay, number 2, if you are under the age of 59 and a half, and specifically, most, if not all, of your retirement savings in your nest egg is qualified retirement accounts. This could be things like 401k accounts, 403bs, traditional IRAs. Qualified money means that when you go to withdraw it from your account, the federal government, and depending on which state you live on, they're going to ask for the income tax that you have not yet paid on those accounts. Qualified accounts are usually deferred in their tax nature. You haven't paid the income tax on it. If you are under the age of 59 and a half, you are not allowed to withdraw from these accounts without paying a premature distribution penalty. That's an additional 10%. You could call it an excise tax on the amount of money that you're gonna owe in taxes from taking those distributions. So it becomes a problem. If you're under the age of 59 and a half and you wanna retire, but all of your money is qualified, you only got a couple of options. You can look at something called 72T. If it's a 401k and you retire after the age of 55 but before 59 and a half, you can withdraw from your 401k without the 10% penalty, but be very wary of retiring before 59 and a half if most, if not all of your money for your retirement nest egg is qualified dollars. You're gonna pay a lot more if you need to create paychecks, because think about it, you just retired and your paycheck went away. So be careful with that one. Number 3, let's talk about healthcare. At age 65 is when you become eligible for Medicare, and you can get on the Medicare supplement plan or advantage plan that works best for you. But if you retire before age 65, a couple of things to think about. Does your company offer retiree health benefits? Will you be able to qualify for COBRA, which is about 18 months of additional health care, but it's now out of your pocket? Many of the people that we meet, and if you're watching this video, you probably have company health benefits. Sometimes your company is paying for most, if not all, of that benefit. Sometimes you're paying for some of it. But when you retire, if you go on to COBRA, it's out of pocket now. You have to pay for your health insurance. So for those that are going to retire and you haven't factored healthcare into your expenses, the ages up to age 65, it's gonna cost you quite a bit. Healthcare is not cheap today. It could cost you upwards of $1,000, maybe $1,500 a month, depending on what kind of coverage you want. So be careful, because if you don't factor that additional expense in, imagine you go at age 60, that's 5 years worth of additional healthcare expense that you might have to cover out of pocket. Number 4, this one's all about market risk and taking a big hit on your portfolio value at the wrong time. If you're a couple of years away from retirement, 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 years away from retirement, and you've done the numbers, you've done the math, and you've said, hey, I've got enough money, I think I've made it, I think I've saved enough. You've maybe talked with an advisor and they've concurred with your evaluation. They say, hey, yeah, I think you've got enough saved. You've done the planning, you know how much income you're gonna need to withdraw from that portfolio to recreate your retirement paycheck, and then boom, market event happens, a downturn, a bear market occurs, and all of a sudden your account values are down 20%, 25%, 30%. You have no way of knowing how long it's going to take your accounts to recover, how long it will be before the next bull market occurs. And so if you retire with that bad sequence of return risk event that we're talking about here, you might not make it. You just lost 20%, 25%, 30%. Yes, it's on paper, but at the same time, now you're going to retire and you might have to take 4%, 5%, 6, or even more percentage points out of your portfolio as a withdrawal. It's a double whammy effect. So I see this time and time again. You didn't adjust your risk appropriately as you lead up to that retirement event so that you could weather that storm if the bad sequence of return event happens to you. And number 5, underestimating how much income you will actually need in retirement to live your retirement the way you want to live it. We talk about living retirement happy, spending confidently. You have to take the time to understand exactly month after month, year after year, how much money you might spend to live the retirement life you dreamed of. This is everything from discretionary expenses, your basics, food, clothing, shelter, taxes, bills, the normal things that you have to pay for whether you're working or retired, and then you got to add your joy or your discretionary expenses. My father always said, hey, retirement's like every day is Saturday. And if you work Monday through Friday and you spend more on the weekends than you do during the week, you're probably like a lot of us. So think about it. If all of a sudden you don't have a job anymore, you're retired, what are you going to spend your time doing? How much is it going to cost you? Are you going to golf? Are you going to travel? Are you going to fish? Are you going to boat? You're going to spend more time with grandkids? You're going to spend more on those grandkids? If you don't take the time to truly understand exactly how much money you want to see coming in week after week, month after month, you could make a giant mistake here in retiring too soon and not doing the legwork in the front end to say, hey, I've ran the numbers, I did my budget, it's $5,000 a month, I know that will be plenty for me to live happy in retirement. So there they are, 5 of the most common traits that I see for those who shouldn't retire just yet. You got to be careful with these. If you haven't done the legwork on these 5 common traits, spend a little bit of extra time, rethink your strategy, talk with a good financial advisor, have them help you with designing a plan to make sure that you avoid some of these pitfalls that we talked about, and you'll be well on your way to a successful retirement. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and turn that bell notification on so that you can see our next video when it posts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.